Namaste, my name is Pranav Anpuja. I belong to Faculty of Law and Governance and I am going to deal with session number 2, that is theories of justice. So before starting theories of justice, let me tell you how many forms of justice are there. So various people see justice in various lights. So some believe justice as a virtue, some believe it is a legal form of justice, some believe it is distributive justice, some believe it is a political justice. So justice as a virtue basically the concept of Aristotle, and then we have legal justice. Within legal justice we have substantive justice and then procedural justice. Substantive justice then can be bifurcated into parts, that is corrective or rectificatory form of justice, or justice as just punishment. Then we have procedural justice. Within procedural justice we have procedural due process as substantive due process. Within distributive justice or material justice, we have two concepts of justice, that is justice as just deserts and justice as fair shares. Now within political sense of justice we have two sects, that is social contract and evolutionary viewpoint. Within social contract we have two theories. One is Rawls and another is Nozick. Rawls is justice as fairness and Nozick have justice as an entitlement. So let me first start with Platonic sense of justice. So in his book The Republic, the Greek philosopher Plato developed a detailed theory of the just person and the just state. In book first of The Republic, Plato set up a debate between Socrates and Thrasymachus the sophist. Socrates argued that injustice only leads to conflict and disharmony, whereas justice promotes harmony. Similarly, he argued that injustice produces conflict within the individual, so that it renders him incapable of action because of internal conflicts and division of purpose, and sets him at variance with himself and with all who are just. Plato took the teleological. Teleological comes from the word telos. Telos means purpose. So Plato took the teleological view that everything and everyone has an appointed purpose within the scheme of universe, and therefore each has a peculiar excellence. Justice means to serve that purpose and strive for that excellence. So for example, if there is a flute player, that flute player is having a specific purpose, that is to play flute, and the justice would be giving opportunity that flute player must play the flute. A horse has a purpose, so has a man. In the Platonic sense of justice, there would be an ideal horse that represents the excellence of being a horse. So in this world, what does Plato wants to say, that there are two kind of worlds, shadow world and ideal world. This world is a shadow world, and then there is another world which is ideal world. So if I'm a man here, then I am a man with vices, I am a man with certain demerits. But in ideal world, I would be a man of certain merits. I would be a man with utmost merits, the best qualities. So that ideal world will always give me sense to promote myself and to reach them. So just like in a shadow world there would be a horse, and in an ideal world there would be a horse. In shadow world the horse would be with demerits, but in ideal world that would be an ideal horse. So it is better to be a good horse than a bad horse. The eye and the ear each has its purpose and its peculiar excellence. An excellent eye provides better vision than a defective eye. An excellent ear provides better sound than a flawed ear. Likewise, Plato argued that the human mind has a purpose and its peculiar excellence. The mind's function is to provide control, attention, and deliberation, which are essential to rational living. It follows, therefore, that a good mind will perform the function of control and attention well, and bad mind badly. Plato concludes that justice is the peculiar excellence of the mind, and injustice is defect. The excellence of the mind consists its balancing and harmonizing in three different tendencies: reason, appetite, and spirit. In the latter parts of the Republic, Plato developed his theory on the just state, which was a state that consisted of different classes performing different functions, making up an efficient system in harmony with the cosmic law. There were three major classes in his ideal state, representing reason, appetite, and spirit. The entrepreneurs who produced goods and traded them symbolizes appetite because they had this hunger, right, to do something. The auxiliaries or the military who provided security represented spirit. Obviously, just like in Hindi literature, we have this kavya literature, ras. So the auxiliaries or the militaries will symbolizes the spirit of the nation, veerras, so to speak, who provided security, represented spirit. And the guardians who were the philosophers, provided reason. The guardians guided the state and ensured the justice of the system. So here you will see in Plato's word that the king should be philosopher, and the king must have the virtue of a philosopher. Now we have Aristotle theories of justice. This theory of justice would be termed as justice as virtue. So Aristotle regarded justice as inseparable from virtue. Aristotle's theory of justice as virtue is set out in detail in his masterwork Nicomachean Ethics, thought to have been published around 350 BC. Aristotle understood virtue in the teleological sense as right conduct in accordance with the universal law. He divided virtue into moral virtues and intellectual virtues. Moral virtue is to act according to right principles. So what would be a moral virtue? That there would be an act, and that act must have the right principle, right? To do things correctly, to do things rightly. So virtue would be universal concept of. So what is virtue? It is universal justice. And within the concept of virtue, there would be ethics. Ethics would be termed as moral virtues. And then there is particular justice, and then there is political justice. Within particular justice, there must be distributive justice, rectificatory justice, that is also corrective justice. Within rectificatory justice, there would be two forms of justice: voluntarily and involuntarily. What is voluntarily form of justice? That would be provided under the contracts, that a person has its own will to perform certain kind of acts, and that act would be voluntary, right? That would be a contractual rights or contractual form of justice. Now involuntarily would be tort and crime, wherein the whole society comes within the purview. Now political justice, now there is this thing, political justice. Political justice will have two prongs, that is natural justice and conventional justice. Moving on, intellectual virtue, in particular the virtue of prudence, enables a person to determine the right principle. Okay, so imagine this, there is this act, and this act will have right principle. How to determine what is right principle? So Aristotle would say, see, you have this intellectual virtue, and if at all you have this intellectual virtue, you can determine what is right principle. And then if you can determine right principle, you can do right act. So here you see the right act can only be created when you have this intellectual virtue. Without the virtue you cannot have act. Hence in Aristotelian form of justice, virtue cannot be separated from the conduct. Virtue cannot be separated from justice. Both are inseparable. Now Aristotle says something about mean. So the right principle according to prudent person turns out of mean between two extremes. So let me give you an example. So if there is this fight, there is this brawl happening in surrounding of you, and then you go there, then Aristotle would say the courage is not there that you go and involve in the fighting. The courage is understanding the situation and then deciding what would be the pros, what would be the cons, evaluating both the extreme and not choosing extreme, but to come in the mid path, find an average mean and then decide whatever you want to decide. Aristotle also viewed virtue from another angle, that is, universal and particular form of justice. So, virtue consists of ethics and justice in general and universal sense. Ethics, according to Aristotle, is moral virtue. Now, moral virtue can be practiced within oneself and need not to be practiced in relation to others. A person can be courageous, temperate, and modest without affecting others. Justice, on the contrary, is a virtue as practiced in relation to others. Aristotle wrote, quoting, "There are plenty of people who can behave uprightly in their own affairs but are incapable of doing so in relation to somebody else." Quotes closed. So as they call it in हिंदी कि जब अपने पर आती है तो सही लगता है, बट जब दूसरे पे आती है तो इंसान सही गलत का फ़र्क भूल जाता है. A person who practices virtue privately as well as towards other in just is the universal sense. Universal justice as a whole is virtue. So apart from universal justice, there is also particular justice, which is not the whole of virtue but a part of it. So injustice in the particular sense is injustice that cause harm to others. A person can be unjust in the universal sense without being unjust in the particular sense. So a man who refuses financial help to another is unjust in the universal sense but not in the particular sense, for he commits no positive harm. However, a person who is guilty of particular injustice is also guilty of particular universal injustice, because the former is the part of the latter. So let me give you this example. So A is person who is prone to excessive beer drinking, yet he performs his duties by his family, friends and his employer and causes no harm to anyone. He lacked the virtue of temperance, which is a part of universal justice, but is not guilty of injustice in the particular case. So here you see there is this Bacchanalian who drinks a lot. See, he is like drunkard, but he never behaves in a manner which cause harm to others. So he is causing no injustice in universal sense. In particular sense, but he's causing injustice in universal sense because he's lacking the virtue of temperance. Now again, A displays all the ethical virtues in her private life. She is temperate, courageous, modest, is not over ambitious and so forth. She has one fault, which is that she neglects to repay her debt on time. उधार देकर भूल जाती है. B causes harm to the creditor and commits a particular injustice. Now since particular injustice is part and parcel of universal injustice, so automatically she is committing both forms of injustice, particular injustice and universal injustice. Afterwards, moving ahead we will talk about social contract. Now we cannot discuss justice without having John Rawls into consideration. So John Rawls gave two principles. The first principle says each person is to have an equal right to the most extensive total system of equal basis liberties compatible within a particular or similar system of liberty for all. The second principle says social and economic inequalities are to be arranged so that they are both A, to the greatest benefit of the least advantaged, consistent with the just saving principles, and B, attached to offices and positions open to all under conditions of fair equality of opportunity. So the first principle is a straightforward endorsement of classical liberal idea that an individual should have the greatest degree of freedom that is compatible with the equal freedom of others. So you have every freedom in the world, but your freedom should not encroach within the area of another's liberty or another's freedom. So your freedom has a limit, that the limit where other freedom starts